Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here representing Jason Blaha Strength and Fitness, and today I want to chat with you guys and gals a little bit about, I think, the most important message that I put out with my work, and that is the importance of getting abuse survivors under a barbell. So just a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, be greatly appreciated. If you're not subscribed or following, please do so. And if you'll be kind enough to drop me a comment down below, I'd appreciate it so much. And I usually have this discussion with a forward of this was something that was therapeutic for me. I've been very open. I've been very, very open about this myself for well over a decade, with my work, that I am a child abuse survivor of the most horrific type. I'm not going to say specifically, but you guys can figure it out. I'm a survivor of it. Something I went through a lot of therapy for. Something I dealt with later with police charges and stuff. And so for me, my ability to even talk about it, because my parents pretty much knew it had happened. Therapists had told them that it had happened, but I wouldn't talk about it when I was growing up. So I didn't until I got under a barbell and I started training. I got in shape. I was personally very morbidly obese. I had binge eating issues stemming to my own childhood trauma. And it had to do with basically to calm me down after the horrific stuff that happened. I was basically, by the two individuals that did it, I was given unlimited amounts of ice cream to eat until I felt better and stopped crying, at 4 and 5 years old. So ended up developing some major coping and binge eating issues as a result of it. And I ended up getting well up over 300 pounds as a young man, at probably 19 years old, 20 years old. I was approximately, 320 pounds. So I got in shape, and then when I got under a barbell, I lost well over 100 pounds running and stuff. Then I started strength training. When I really got under a barbell, it helped empower me to be able to talk about it. And I went and talked to my mother about it at the time. It gave me the strength to open up and talk to my mother about it, who then said, "Hey, we need to get you in therapy for this." And, and I told her I want to press charges. And so I went to a therapist, to get me ready to do that, and went through pretty extensive therapy. So all of that aside, the strength training was a pivotal part of that. It empowered me. And this is something that I talk to other people about, and I think that it's important. If you are any sort of abuse survivor, childhood abuse, any sort of sexual abuse, right? Even PTSD, any form of PTSD, including war, combat, your job, maybe you're in law enforcement work or military, obviously, so on and so forth. This is beneficial, and I personally found it to be so. And I also, when I was at the Texas State Powerlifting Championship a few years back, I was chatting with a guy there. He was part of a veterans group who there was a therapist involved who was had gotten all them involved into powerlifting for their PTSD. And they found that it was beneficial to their own therapy. And then they extended the program when the therapist realized, hey, trauma is trauma. They started extending that program to sexual assault survivors. Okay, and they found that it helped them also. And I really enjoy being able to share that story then with that man, and we talked about it. And, with my own story and my own childhood with it, there was definitely, one of some shared ground in that regard. His was obviously due to, PTSD, combat, and then later an incident he had as a civilian, which he had to defend his own life and his family. And he ended up being shot, actually, but he came out on top. He survived. And, in a life and death situation. And then, so again, he had further PTSD. And so, again, that's why he had gone through all of that. And so it was the same thing, right? And here's what I'm going to say. The reason it's so beneficial, so that people understand this. Number one, the first thing, it's the ability to get that anger out, okay? Because when you are a survivor of any sort of true trauma, there is an anger, there's a rage. Okay, there's a rage. And you have to have an outlet for it. And if you don't, that's where it creates a problem, because in a worst case, that can be taken out on other people, and that's not ever what you want, because you can't replace people, okay? You can replace a barbell, you can replace weights. In fact, it's pretty dang hard to hurt a barbell. I'm not saying it's impossible, pretty hard. So now you have an inanimate object designed to handle huge amounts of force that you can take that anger out on. You can get it out of your system. All right, and even more importantly, you're getting it out of your system in a constructive way. Okay, you get it out of your system on a barbell or a dumbbell, guess what? It improves you. Not only do you get it out of your system without hurting anyone or anything, it starts making you stronger. Starts making you physically stronger. Okay? You see where we're about to go here? Now you get a catharsis. You're getting physically stronger, and before long, it starts making you mentally stronger. There's a resilience that comes with that. Plus, when you start seeing the changes in your strength, you start seeing the changes in your body, what happens? You are programming yourself to say, I am worth it. Because if you're any form of abuse survivor, what do you have? Low self-esteem. Okay? Low self-esteem goes hand in hand with that. And my God, did I have it? You get under that weight, and then you start to see improvements. You are literally investing hard work and effort into improving yourself. That is insanely empowering. There is a completely different type of empowerment that comes with that, because you are also programming your brain to say, when I put hard work into myself, I improve. I'm worth it. I'm good enough. I am worth investing in. Okay? So you get physically stronger, you get mentally stronger, you get emotionally stronger. It builds you up. Okay? And that's one of the reasons I tell abuse survivors, okay, getting under that barbell may get you strong enough to where you can actually talk about it. Because if you can't talk about it, you're not going to heal. Okay? You're not going to heal. But that can get you to the point where you are mentally and emotionally strong enough to cross that bridge. And when you can do that, that's where the healing starts. You can really sit down and talk about it and work through those issues. It's a very powerful tool. Okay? And I'm a massive, massive advocate for this. It's the most important part of my work and what I do.